Hello and welcome back, Shark to another episode of Deep Dives with Sharks. My name is Alex and I'm the host of this thing. And if you're new to the podcast, welcome. We like to talk about sharks and oceanic things here and occasionally movies and review Shark Week and Shark Fest. We do it all here, evidently. It works. But thank you for supporting the podcast. Please continue to show your support by liking this podcast and following along on any way that you follow your podcast. Also on Instagram at Deep Dives with Sharks. If you guys happen to miss Valentine's Day like we did and need to make it up to your shark enthusiast loved one or for yourself before St. Patrick's Day or after, check out our awesome merch. We have shirts and hats available. The merch link will be in the show notes for this episode as well as in the Instagram bio, or you can also go to www.ddws-shop fourth wall, that's fourthwall.com. So once again, www.ddws-shop.fourthwall.com. They also just announced the lineup for Aftershock Music Festival, and buying merch, listening to episodes, following Instagram, and hanging out on Twitch are great ways to donate to the Send Alex to This Music Festival / wedding fund, since Scully and I also got engaged, and I don't think I announced that yet. But either way, link in the description and channel bio. We do have a few things coming down the pipeline, so hopefully we'll have maybe a couple interviews if we can schedule those, more movie reviews, and maybe a merch giveaway or two in the future here. Keep diving with us to hear more about it. Bree and I are trying to find ways to see what we can do to make those happen. I do appreciate all the work that she has been doing and also need to give her a shout out because she did get these notes to me a few weeks ago and I did not plan on disappearing. So I do appreciate all the help that she has given and will continue to do. But please feel free to send any questions, comments, or any shark-related content to the social media or in the comments. Let me know if you have any interactions or anything like that in the aquarium or in the wild you want to share. I'll be happy to share them on the next episode as well. I do appreciate how much everyone has been active in the comments and on social media. I've gotten lots of lovely DMs as always. I do think I saw one of the funniest comments ever. Someone asked when the next episode would be coming out, and the response quite literally just said, "Get some patience, diggity dog." And that was incredibly funny to me. I do appreciate checking in to see when the next episode will be as well, because once again, I did not plan on disappearing. And it just made me laugh to see someone replied so quickly. But I do also appreciate everyone that's been helping each other out in the comments as well. So, of course, whenever anyone asks for a shark that has already been covered, a lot of you have been quick to get to the comments and let them know which episode that is in a very nice and respectful way, which I genuinely do appreciate. But today's shark is powerful, misunderstood, oddly named, and a near-threatened species. It is the Porbeagle. I know you're probably wondering, why is it called a Porbeagle shark? Well, that's an excellent question, and honestly, no one fully agrees. The name Porbeagle may come from porpoise due to the shark's body shape or what they thought their diet was, and beagle for its dog-like hunting style. Others think it is a mashup of words that evolved over time through fisherman slang. Either way, it's one of those shark names that sounds adorable and threatening at the same time. They sound like they'll be there to give you a nice cuddle, but they also might stab you. You don't know. Poor beagles closely resemble their famous relatives, the great white and salmon shark. They look derpier, or like they're always giving you the puppy dog eyes. They've got that classic mackerel shark look, a conical snout, crescent-shaped tail, and a sleek torpedo-like body built for speed. They're usually dark gray on top with a pale underside, which is classic shark camouflage, that counter shading there. One key identifying feature, though, is the white or light gray rear tip of the dorsal fin, which many sharks don't have. They can grow up to 12 feet long and weigh about 500 pounds, so not small, but still smaller than their celebrity cousin, the great white. Here's where porbeagles get especially cool, literally and biologically. Like other sharks in their family, porbeagles can raise their body temperature up to 20 degrees Fahrenheit above the surrounding water. This means while everything else is freezing, they're cruising around like, that's fine. This adaptation lets them thrive in cold waters, making them one of the ocean's elite cold water predators. Basically, they brought their own heater. Humans do something similar. We're able to go into cold environments because of our warm blood and we don't instantly freeze. But we've all heard of friends who have, or people on the internet or anything like that who have left birds or reptiles too close to the outdoors when it's cold, and unfortunately that animal cannot handle it. And that's about it. So yeah, humans are able to do this. We can survive cold weather. Some sharks can, others cannot. Poor beagles are one of the ones that can go into cold water and they'll be just fine. Now, in the northern hemisphere, they're found only in the Atlantic Ocean, ranging from New Jersey and Canada all the way to Greenland, Iceland, Norway, and even the Mediterranean. In the southern hemisphere, they're circumglobal, swimming in a band between 30 and 60 degrees south latitude, so they only stay right about there. Now, this geographic separation is important because it distinguishes them from their close relative, the salmon shark, which only lives in the North Pacific. Porbeagles can be found from the surface down to nearly 2,350 feet, and while they prefer open ocean, they can also hang out in coastal waters. They've even been caught in brackish estuaries, though they don't enter freshwater. But this is interesting because many sharks won't travel into brackish estuaries. So I'm wondering if they're going to do something similar evolutionarily to like what the bull shark did, which is where they're able to move more into freshwater. But I don't think we'd see that really in our lifetime. That'll probably be hundreds of years down the line, if anything. I could be wrong. It might happen tomorrow. We'll find out. Now, despite their size and power, porbeagles are not aggressive towards human. The International Shark Attack File lists only a handful of unprovoked attacks ever, both non-fatal and involving divers who got too close or bites to fishermen handling the shark. Which, in case you guys did not realize, the International Shark Attack File doesn't just count provoked or unprovoked bites; it counts them both. So even if someone's like punching a shark for no reason and it bites them, you're in the file. Congratulations. All those people that have messed with nurse sharks that have done nothing but just sit there and then they get bit, congrats, you're in the file. But also, the surfer who was just hanging out, fell in the water and got bit unprovoked, you're also in the file. So it just keeps track of all the bites. Doesn't If you're in the file there, it doesn't say that you're doing anything wrong. You got bit by a shark. They've even been filmed making fast passes at divers on oil platforms in the North Sea without attacking. This behavior is thought to be exploratory or defensive, basically the shark equivalent of saying, "What's this thing in front of me?" It's kind of the same thing if weird things popped up in your living room once again. You'd kind of question what it is and what you can do to help it, why it's in your house. They're kind of doing the same thing, but they don't speak human languages. Now, porbeagles migrate seasonally, likely following temperature gradients rather than prey alone. They also segregate by size and sex, and mature females often separate from males and juveniles, which may help with reducing unwanted mating, protecting newborns from cannibalism, and keeping breeding seasonal and efficient, which is honestly incredibly smart planning. It's better than some humans do, honestly. I mean, some people just be eating babies out here. That's a whole joke. No, I'm kidding. But don't eat babies. Anyway, historically, porbeagles were considered a nuisance because they damaged fishing gear when populations were higher. That nuisance status didn't exactly help when industrial fishing ramped up. By the mid 20th century, porbeagles were heavily overfished, especially by Norway, Denmark, and Sweden. Catches peaked in 1947 and declined rapidly after that. When North Atlantic stocks collapsed, fisheries shifted locations and eventually to other species. Today, porbeagles are protected in U.S. waters. They are regulated in Europe. They're catch and release only in Canada, but they are still poorly regulated in the southern hemisphere. And we do see that with many sharks, especially around South America. I will say Australia has been one that does a lot for shark conservation. But then you also have certain parts of Asia that haven't as well. And then there's other parts of Africa that have done a lot and some that have not too. But some countries like Brazil have also put protections on certain sharks. I believe Ecuador has protections all around the Galapagos. I believe Australia has put many, as well as South Africa has put many out there. And if I did not mention your country and you do know of protections that you have in your water and you're in the southern hemisphere, please feel free to let me know because I'm always trying to see what other ways we are protecting sharks around the world. So that's really cool. But they are also a major bycatch species, especially in longline fisheries, and are often harvested for meat, oil, fish meal, and fins, which fish meal is like the stupidest thing to use them for. But anyway, the porbeagle is listed by the ICUN as near threatened globally, but vulnerable in the Northeast Atlantic. So a little bit different depending on the hemisphere. Now, catch rates of mature porbeagles have dropped to about 10% of historical levels, and recovery is slow because they grow slowly and reproduce later in life. In 1997, global reported catch was 1,736 tons, while the estimated sustainable yield is only about 1,000 tons. In other words, we're still taking more than the population can handle. So, not great. Thankfully, this is one of the closer numbers. Thankfully, that we've seen, but it still is not great, and there still is more to be done to help protect this population. Um, which, as you will see later, all shark populations are always battling. But that is, of course, what we have for the Porbeagle for this episode. If you guys feel like we missed anything, or if there's anything you'd like to add in, please share it in the comments, anywhere else that you can, and I will try to update that in Correction Corner. But going on to safety. Now, we're going to be looking at effective modern tools in ocean safety, specifically smart buoys and drone surveillance. Now, smart buoys are floating monitor systems placed offshore that detect tagged sharks as they pass through an area. When a tagged shark swims nearby, the buoy logs the detection and can alert beach officials in real time. Some systems even share this information with the public through apps or websites. This means beaches can make temporary targeted decisions, like clearing the water for a short time rather than shutting everything down or using harmful methods. Drones have become one of the most powerful shark safety tools in recent years. From the air, drones can spot sharks before swimmers even see them, especially in clear water. That is different from Clearwater, Florida, although they can also use it there if they want. Now, lifeguards and beach patrols can monitor large areas quickly and respond immediately if a shark is moving close to people. This allows for early warnings, calm evacuations, and rapid reopenings once the shark moves on because most sharks are just passing through, not sticking around for lunch. Also, drones don't disturb sharks, which is a huge win for conservation. Both smart buoys and drones shift shark safety from reaction to prevention. Instead of waiting for an incident, they're using science and technology to reduce risk to swimmers, protect sharks from unnecessary harm, and replace fear based responses with informed ones. The cool thing is, I did get to hear, I believe it was Dr. Chris Lowe, give a talk on this at SharkCon when I went not last year, but the year before. And it was really neat to see because he is also the head of the California State University Shark Lab in Long Beach, I believe it was. But it was cool because he got to show us real time data that they were collecting as we were in his speech. But also, he showed a sped up version of a day's worth of data that they had collected by creating essentially a matrix of these buoys not too far off of the shore. And they were able to show where sharks were going through. And of course, having it set up like that, they also were able to collect a lot more data, including about size of the shark, how deep it was in the water, what its body temperature was, a lot of different things like that. But it was also easier to get those pieces of data when they were using things that they were going to recover at the end of the day versus different buoys that are supposed to be out there for a while. They can record a little bit less. But it was really cool to see because things like this, as already stated, do help to be more preventative than they are reactionary. We're not waiting for someone to get bit. We're not waiting for harm to happen. And most sharks are there just to try to figure out what's going on, what's all the commotion. So they're not there to get a meal or anything like that anyway. So it is nice to be able to like, hey, let's just get people out the water real quick because the safest place to be at the beach if you're afraid of getting bit by a shark is going to be on the sand. It's not going to be in the water. Mind you, this is also coming from someone who spends the majority of their time at the beach in the water. And I've never been bit. A lot of my friends love going to the beach as well. I don't know any of them that have been bit. Of course, we've heard of people being bit, but the amount of folks that go to the beach and don't get bit, it's still a very high number. But it is really cool to see these things in practice, especially as there are many other options that are much more violent, much more impactful, and not in a good way, as we will also discuss in a little bit as well. But it is good to see ways that are going to prevent, that won't disturb the sharks, will only minorly inconvenience some beachgoers, but I think being bit would inconvenience them a lot more. So I'm really curious to see what this is going to do in the future, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they will improve it because, of course, we're always improving things. But moving on to the news, as I was just talking about, the many methods that can be used, some are not always effective. And the first one we've got comes from The Guardian, and that is shark culls brought in after fatal attack causes division and anger in New Caledonia. So, a little bit of background here. A man in New Caledonia was using a wing foil, which is like a windsurfing board, but it has this little thing underneath that when you pump your legs, it can propel the board forward as well. And he was attacked while on this board by a 3-meter tiger shark. And unfortunately, it was a fatal incident and he lost his life. Now, the article does not go into great detail about the incident, but New Caledonia decided a shark cull, which is where you capture and kill many sharks, from February 28th until yesterday, March 4th, would be the best way to go about this. Now, clearly, this irritated environmentalists, including members of the Ensemble pour la Planète. I don't know if I pronounced that properly. It is French, who went to court regarding this shark culling, stating that it is doing nothing to improve safety, only disturb the environment. Now, New Caledonia did try a shark cull back in 2013 that yielded over 100 tiger and bull sharks, which once again are their target during this cull. They are releasing individuals that are under 2.1 meters, but that still adds a lot of stress to the individual and can lead to their death anyway, especially if they aren't fully grown and they are just a juvenile. Now, this feels very, we've gone into their home and are now mad at them for being there coded, jaws coded, whatever you want to call it coded. The call didn't help in 2023, and they're now in a legal battle to see if they're allowed to keep up the call at this point. But we're here 3 years later targeting the same species after another bite. So clearly the first one didn't work. Why are we killing more sharks? It makes no sense to me. I understand we want to be protective and we want to help save human lives, but killing animals isn't going to do that. Like there's certain times that is the best case. In this one, just grabbing random sharks in the water and killing them, it's not the move. But anyway, the next one that we have is that shark mysteriously found 12 miles inland in Australia, and this was reported by The Surfer. Over the past few months, Sydney has seen an uptick in bull shark bites due to weather changes. Heavy rains have caused bull sharks to hang out in odd places, but this shark was found in an extremely odd place, which was out of the water on a brick pavement 12 miles inland from the water. So clearly this bull shark isn't an epaulet shark that can walk on land, but even if it was, epaulet sharks can't walk that far. They've got a few yards, maybe a few dozen at the most, but they aren't traveling miles inland. Officials are looking into what could have brought this shark to Kellyville, but they are also taking time to alert swimmers and beachgoers about the warning systems in place and to follow posted instructions. They do ask that if your beach is closed due to weather, shark activity, or water conditions, we ask that swimmers stay out of the water for their own safety. They also noted to avoid any murky water, as bull sharks are more likely to bite in unclear conditions. This is also how most humans work. If things aren't very clear and we're confused, we tend to act out. All in all, just keep an eye out, don't bring a shark into your backyard, and listen to posted warnings regarding beach safety. So this is what we have for that episode. I want to thank you all for listening once again. Comment or DM any shark encounters and experiences. I may just share some of them at the start or end of the episode, whichever one we feel fits most. Follow along on Instagram for more updates at Deep Dives with Sharks, or on Twitch. I'll run polls and stuff throughout the week to see what you guys would like to hear. Send in any comments, questions, or anything of the sort. Turn on notifications for the podcast so you know when the next episode is out. And lastly, give us a rating on Apple or Spotify and share with anyone you think would like to listen. And I will see you guys in the next one.